And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well.
Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Want to be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow people to buy stuff
and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some sats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. My name is Joey. That's Len. Buddy, what's going on over there? How the heck are you?
Wonderful. Enjoying the weather. Enjoying whatever's thrown at me. It's great.
Great.
Isn't it? Isn't it fantastic?
Yeah, it is great. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing, yesterday it was claiming to be 34 and super hot and all, but because the humidity was rather low, it was very tolerable. It didn't take very much to, you know, sit outside, walk around, do stuff.
Yep.
People, they look at a number and they get freaked out. Man, it's not that bad. It's actually very pleasant. And in
I don't mind being outside in this weather at all, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Even if it was super humid, I wouldn't mind. In 2 months, I'll be dying for this weather to come back. So it's here for just a brief moment, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So that's my thing, Joey. How are things with you?
I'm great, man. I had a great day today. Good work day. Had a good workout after work, and played some college football 26, which released today. If you pre-ordered, which I did, obviously. Fantastic game. They get so much right about that game. I have high hopes for Madden this year too, but that's basically how I spent my day. To your point about heat, you know what's funny? Kenzie and I always think about whether or not my daughter's going to be warm when we take her out. We usually go for a walk at like 7:30, 7:45-ish in the morning. And this morning it was like blazing hot. She didn't care at all. Babies are so resilient. You know, you think you're going to have to give them a fan and shade them up and all this stuff. And we do, you know, she does have shade in the buggy and there is a fan we don't often use, but she doesn't care. The baby doesn't care. She's just happy to be out there.
Was it hot? I'll be perfectly honest.
27 according to my phone, probably hotter in the sun. If I
was sitting in the shade working this morning, and I no joke, because it was windy, I was cold.
Really?
If I had a sweater, I would have put it on. Like, it just felt chilly.
Yeah.
I'm very warm-blooded. It's got to be super hot for me to enjoy it. But this morning, it was just, I felt cold. I don't know why. And I was up until 10:30.
10:30 is when it gets like unbearably hot. I mean, I'm speaking for myself here, obviously. I like being hot, but a lot of people I know, like people we work with, for example, oftentimes are talking about the heat being unbearable. You and me, I think, are in the same boat. It's cold like 8 months out of the year these days, you know? Yeah. And so I am very, very slow to complain about humidity.
Interesting fact, Joey.
Yeah, sure.
In Toronto, because I'm using that as a guideline because it's a major area next to us, the amount of days that are over 30 degrees Celsius, which I think is 86 Fahrenheit, it's gone down since 2019. Wow. 2019, every year since then, 6 straight years, it's been going down. Number of days over 86 Fahrenheit or 30 Celsius. So make that what you want.
Yeah.
So when people say it's good,
I can't say, or I'm not saying anything, but I mean, you know what I think.
So. Hey, you know, I asked, and I went to AI. I asked it to chart for me the average daytime high in July for the month of July for Toronto for the last 40 years. You know what, Joey? Flat. The daytime high for the month. Flat.
It's not a surprise.
No change.
Not up, not down.
Not a surprise. Flat.
People talking about these floods in Texas too, like tragic, obviously, especially these poor kids at these camps. But a lot of people, you know, taking this time to, I guess, dunk on, you know, Texas Republicans, saying this is what happens when you take money from a service XYZ and put it toward ICE. And, you know, people online wishing everyone except Trump supporters well during the flood. I mean, there's dead kids here. somebody pointed out that if you look back at the history of sort of, extended extreme rain events in Texas, you basically get something like this every 10 years or so, or 12 years or whatever, dating back hundreds of years.
You heard of the Dust Bowl, right?
I haven't, no.
So right after the Great Depression started, in 1930, 1931, in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Colorado, parts of just huge area, they suffered a drought, and this drought happens periodically. The drought lasted almost 10 years, and because of the fact that they farmed all the area, they got rid of the natural grass that typically holds in the moisture. They just farmed it, not thinking that there's droughts periodically every few years. All the fucking shit just started blowing up in the air and created this huge dust storm that lasted for many, many weeks, months.
Wow.
And even, in fact, some of the dust blew as far as to New England. That's how far it went. And so they figured it out. There were some variations, abnormalities in the Pacific and the Atlantic that caused these droughts to happen 100 years ago. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Right? It's just periodic. It just fucking happens.
It's funny, Jason in the chat and Boom Dust kind of going back and forth here on the temperature readings. I said to my wife the other day, I don't know how many people realize that the temperature reading for most major cities is at an airport. So, you get a lot of concrete. That concrete is obviously very hot, radiates heat, and you get an extremely, varied experience, let's say, on something where the heat is hot, where the temperature is warming up a concrete pad. We played football on Saturday up at Brebeuf on the mountain. That's a turf field. Couldn't take our shoes off after the game. Had to go change in the grass. The turf was too hot. If you had a thermometer there, you'd get a reading that was significantly higher than you would have, even if you went to a park that wasn't shaded and it was more grass than concrete, obviously, right? And, not to get into weather conspiracies here, but the idea that we, around the same time we started taking readings at airports, we started to get run-ups in temperature.
That has to end. You see, you could add an extra few degrees.
Yeah.
But then you stop adding a few degrees because you can't move that to another
It doesn't,
place.
exactly. It doesn't keep moving in that direction. It doesn't scale,
wait
right?
50 years, and then you'll, oh shit, it flattened out. What the fuck happened? Well, so whatever. It is what it is. Let's do the sponsors, Joey.
Sure, yeah. EasyDNS, best place for you to host your content, buy a domain, register a domain. Mark is your friendly neighborhood registrar. Len, you know that EasyDNS has everything you need in terms of security, ease of use, whether it's EasyMail, domain, sure, a couple extra bucks for those things. But I mean, who wouldn't want to pay that given that everywhere you look, people are getting scammed, data is being stolen. We do the Access of Easy podcast, obviously the latest and greatest in data breaching and overreaching. And every week there's stories to talk about. You want to protect yourself. And most importantly, especially if you're running a business, you want to protect the people who are patronizing your business. And Mark takes care of that for you over at EasyDNS, not to mention the virtual private server suite of options and services there. If you're a Bitcoiner, BTC Pay Server, Nostr Relay, Bitcoin Node, many options. And then Len, don't forget, you can pay in Bitcoin if you want to part with some of that hard money. Mark will take it. And he was doing Bitcoin balance sheet long before it was cool. No one named Natalie Brunel on his board. He did not enlist Will Clemente III to pump his company, did it all himself.
Surprisingly, Joey, those are people I've muted a long time ago. I totally forgot about Will's name. I muted a lot of these people. Just
the kid analyst, man, the kid analyst. So if you want to support Mark, you should. I mean, Mark's a great friend of the show. He's a good Bitcoiner as well, and obviously a great partner of the podcast. So patronize him. CBP Media is the code. 50% off your first round of buys. And I mean, he's got a cashback guarantee. I don't know anyone who wants a money back offer from Mark and EasyDNS, but you got that too. Can't beat it. So go over there and take a look and see what he's got.
Somebody said that they signed up to EasyDNS because the fact that he's based. That's their only reason why they.
I want to see. I think we should have a shirt made for Mark that just says "based" in Helvetica font across the middle there.
Do it.
I have to think about it. We should just make those shirts. I don't know. That might be.
Yeah, we'll just do a rogue.
That's kind of a niche market, but yeah, we are due to sell some merch. We sold all those miners when Decentral Tech made them. We sold all our T-shirts. I think there's like maybe one double XL in my spare bedroom or something. And we sold a bunch of those no coiners of the week. No Coiner Hall of Fame shirts, relics of a early podcast, right? But I do think we should do another run pretty soon. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something. Keep an eye out for that. Maybe in the fall.
Some footballs.
Sure. Yeah, you want me to? Couple
Signed.
CBP balls, mudded and prepped. Who's the other sponsor?
Well, it's Bull Bitcoin, and apparently something will be coming out soon. Francis has been teasing something
Tomorrow,
on-
I think. Tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what it is. I could speculate, but don't want to in case I'm wrong. Either way, what are you gonna do with the Bull Bitcoin? You're gonna buy your Bitcoin. You're gonna sell your Bitcoin. Those are the things you could do with them on chain. You do Lightning. Still, the blocks are not full at all. Like they're so empty. So continue to do your on-chain buys. This is the way to do it right now. But there'll be a coming point in time that maybe it's not going to be very cheap and you want to use Lightning, and Bull Bitcoin has you covered. Not just that, they give you the ability to use Bitcoin as money, so you can start paying your bills. You could use your bill service to pay whatever bill you have that's outstanding. You could e-transfer Bitcoin to somebody's account. That's fucking cool if you ask me. So if you want to pay somebody, you don't have to send them cash. You can send them, well, it would be from Bitcoin into cash. That's fucking cool. A lot of good things you could do with Bull Bitcoin, and they're non-custodial. You do not want an exchange that holds on to your Bitcoin. These guys, in order to facilitate a buy, you got to provide a Bitcoin address. Could be fake, but you have to provide something in order for them to facilitate the buy. So that's what you want. These guys are the best in the business, and not only that, they are in Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, parts of Europe, and maybe more soon. Who knows?
Yeah.
So open an account. Our referral code is below. Check it out. If you haven't done so, do it. Open an account.
You see the pictures of Francis is posting of him, like, what did he tweet the other day? I had to laugh about that. Well, I was taking a shit, to be honest with you, Francis. This picture of him, like, you can just go work in the middle of the jungle and disrupt the global financial system while you have a hot dog or something like that. And then today he's tweeting pictures of like his Starlink and his hot dog on a grill by a lake. Like, just so great. Bitcoin enables so many great things, and Bull Bitcoin obviously doing tons with those opportunities. So yeah, we're happy to have them as a sponsor. Shall we go to the boost, sir?
Yeah, three of them that noteworthy. I have the Sats King, 313 Sats. And he, she, or whatever writes in, paper Bitcoin may be the red-headed stepchild for Bitcoiners, but it is a member of the family. During the cold, harsh winters, it is given the coldest room in the house because it is the outcast of the family. I guess.
That's good. I like that. Hey, put that on the short list for t-shirts. We can maybe work on that. Yeah, that's true, man. You may like it or not like it, but something going on with those companies. Yeah, something going on with those.
Mo BTC Dick, 500 Sats. And he writes in, seeing tons of talk about Caspa on X makes me sick.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of talk about Caspa. I don't know why.
It's been a while, but I mean, it depends, right? If you click it or tell people they're stupid, then it'll obviously feed you more Caspa content. I've not seen a ton, but I am seeing a little bit. People in the altcoin space, by the way, like desperate for a rotation here, and they don't seem to be getting it. So I don't know what the plan is if you're an altcoin enthusiast, but doesn't seem to be a winning strategy this cycle, at least not so far.
Wait it out, I guess. Or I know my personal opinion is fucking sell it.
Yeah,
convert it to Bitcoin and just go from there. Carney for PM, 666 Sats.
Wow.
And he writes in, elbows up did a great job flipping pancakes at the Stampede.
Did you see the video of him flipping the pancakes?
Yeah, it splattered a little bit.
Yeah,
kind of like
he dropped. Yeah, he dropped one.
I didn't see the dropping. I saw him just flip it. And
I don't know how hard it is to flip those pancakes. Maybe if I ever make some on my Blackstone, I'll report back. But I'll say this, okay? I give the Prime Minister credit for going to that event. His predecessor did not go.
Yes, he did.
The most recent year, last year, I don't think he did. I don't think he went. And so I mean, someone can fact check me on that, but in my head, I feel like he did not go to, if not the entire thing.
He did miss it, yeah. He missed the Calgary Stampede.
So, okay, so he didn't go. That was probably a very hostile crowd. That crowd is as hostile now, I think, as it was then, if not more so. And he still went. Now, his media team did a great job slowing down his entrance and overriding the crowd boos with some kind of sort of, hall orchestra, symphony, dramatic music. But I saw the video of the entrance without the added sound. Pretty brutal. That crowd did not want him there and did not like him, but he still went anyway.
Terrible heel. Take the booze, man, and just run with it.
Yeah, kudos to him. Kudos to him. So we'll see.
I think it's 29 years ago today that Hulk Hogan turned his back on everybody and joined the NWO. So he should have did that. He should have
good bit of commentary there from you.
Yeah.
Should we do some housekeeping? We may as well.
Mm-hmm.
This Friday on the show, 1 p.m. Eastern, Stockwell Day is going to come on the program.
Ooh, Mr. Day.
And
the Honorable Mr. Day.
The Honorable Mr. Day. That's right. And we are going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about his time as Alberta Treasurer, mostly because, well, for a few reasons, but the big one, I think, and actually our friend Len, said this to me as well. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Alberta separation, and I want to talk about that with Stockwell. And the reason is because as a treasurer for that province for some time, he's got a little bit of insight into what really goes on in terms of equalization payments and, what someone claiming that Alberta can separate and do it sort of in a fiscally responsible way. What are they getting right? What are they getting wrong? And so I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about the Poilievre campaign, where things went wrong there, among other things. Obviously, he's a guy who's been in politics a long time. He was the Treasury Board Secretariat, or what do you call it? President of the Treasury Board? Is that what that position is? He was that for a while. He was the Alberta Treasurer, obviously.
And he was the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness.
Yes,
I believe.
He
was the leader of the Canadian Alliance at the time when he was trying to run for Prime Minister in 97.
He's got quite a resume. So he's been in the Conservative Party, the Canadian Alliance, obviously, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. I may actually wear a collared shirt that day, Len. It feels like that's a guest you have to wear a collared shirt for. I don't know. I thought about it for the mayor of Vancouver too when Ken Sim came on, but
his worship wasn't worshiping enough.
Yeah, I don't know if that one. Plus, I didn't really know what to expect there, and I'll level with you. We wanted Stockwell. We were able to get him through a friend of the show, Rob. Thank you. And he shares a lot of the same concerns, having spoken to him a little bit via text over the last few days. Yeah, that's going to be a really good show. Next week, go ahead.
Before you go, just remember, Rob does have a few things he'd like to get asked.
I have them all.
So, yeah. Rob, there you go. So those questions, they are passed on to the person that's going to be asking them, and hopefully you get answers to them. So
I think it'll be fun. And I think, having listened to Stockwell on a few different media appearances over the last, month or so, while I was building up the courage to send him a text message, because I had that number for, I don't know, probably a month. And then looking at his tweets and, other sort of things that he's said and done, I don't think he's going to be very guarded, honestly. I think he's going to be open with his opinions and the things that he thinks and the things that he sees. And I'm looking forward to talking to him because he's a really sharp guy. He's been a sharp guy for a long time. And I think he was right about a lot of things before everyone else was really to admit it, or ready to admit it, I should say. So looking forward to that. Next week, we're going to talk to the guys and gals maybe from Learning Bitcoin, everyone's favorite new, they don't want to call it a conference, so I won't call it a conference either, but a gathering, a meeting of the minds in British Columbia. We had them on last year. I think Daniela came on. Did someone come on and talk to you too, or just Daniela come and talk to me? I think Matthew Vuk came to talk to you, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so we did a couple episodes with them. We're going to do at least one this time. We have a code. If you use CBP or CBP Media, you can get a ticket to that conference, or that meeting of the minds, I should say, for cheap, which I've been meaning to tell you guys, but have forgotten. And then after that, we have some other guests coming up that I won't share yet, but I did tweet about it. Heather Exner, Piero is coming on, and there's one other guest that I have in the hopper that I need to email that you guys will also know, that Len doesn't even know about yet. But looking forward to that one as well. Okay, so 20 minutes.
Bo Jackson?
It's not. 20 minutes of wasted time. Let's talk about some Bitcoin stories. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's do this very interesting story. And remember, I was talking at the beginning of the show about bull Bitcoin and why you don't want to deal with a custodial exchange. And this is a particular reason why. Is there's this woman, Canadian woman, and she's suing both Rogers Communication and Match Transact Inc. And that's a mobile store. And the reason being is because back in 2021, there was a SIM swap that was done. And through that SIM swap, 12 Bitcoin was lost. 12 Bitcoin was lost. So she must have had quite a, she had a lot of trust in an exchange to hold on to her Bitcoin at the time. And so she alleged that one of those Match employees, that's the mobile store employees, they shared information with a hacker. And so Rogers didn't provide much of a barrier. Match obviously doesn't give a fuck. They just wanted their sale. And so in the end, there was SIM swap took place. They were able to get access to whatever exchange, and away you go. So BC Supreme Court is involved in this one. They're looking at this, and they say that this has to go to arbitration. And it looks like she's going to get something back. So the Bitcoin at the time was worth around 500K. Now it's worth 1.8 million. That's what's at stake. So going back to the whole reason why you don't want to hold anything on an exchange is she got wrecked, and she's trying to make herself whole. And through the process, she has to go through all the legal channels, pay her lawyers, and all the stress that's involved, the time waste and all that. If you just simply take that off the exchange, or deal with an exchange that doesn't have any custodial whatsoever, they send it to you direct, then you have your power. You control the power of your finances. You don't have anybody else. There could be a SIM swap attack with my phone, and my Bitcoin is safe. And I'm pretty sure the same with you, Joey. So I just want to say, like, out there, please do yourself a favor. If you have anything on an exchange, take it the fuck off.
It's hard for me to understand how people are still getting SIM swapped, because even if you, like with 2FA, you should be using those authenticator apps, not SMS based 2FA, for example. And so, like, I sort of sympathize with the woman. I don't know how old she is, but my guess is she's not a spring chicken and probably made this mistake honestly, and maybe doesn't have people in her life to help guide her through something like authenticator 2FA or similar, means to protect yourself. But Len, like, she's got a good point here in suing the carrier. I want to know how this turns out, because there should be some responsibility from the carrier. We're watching, a great example. Okay, Rogers today, I guess maybe not today, but in the last few days, laid off about 1,000 call center people, domestic call center people. And someone on Reddit posted in the Rogers subreddit and said, I'm going to do this anonymously, but I'll tell you right now that Rogers has been using your call data, your call recordings, to train the AI that just replaced you for the last year and a half. And so Rogers, is obviously worsening the experience for clients. I would guess also impacting the security of their client base. Like the SIM swapping thing should never happen, but clearly is still going on. And they don't seem to care. So why shouldn't they be held liable or responsible for something like this? Like, what is the rationale there? I think people just don't have the resources, don't have the time, but this lady decided it is worth it. And I wish her well. I wish she had done the right thing initially and just used the proper app, but can't cry over spilled milk. And this is the next best thing, in my opinion. I want to see some precedent set here.
Well, that's 100%. Rogers should be held liable. But what I am taking away from this mostly is I hope people use this as a learning experience.
Of course.
You obviously don't want to have this happen to yourself or a family member or friend. So you could just avoid it by just simply holding onto your keys. By doing that, then, if your keys are lost somehow, of course, your Bitcoin's gone. But if you do it properly, how can it be stolen, your Bitcoin keys? If those keys are generated offline, totally like in a room that has no camera, for instance, like how the fuck can anybody guess that? Like it's basically that's that. So that's what I'm trying to get away from the story, and just pushing people, please just learn how to use like something like a cold card, for instance. I like a cold card. There's other good ones like that too, but I like that as a signing device. I generated my keys offline, many keys offline.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, man. Totally.
Yeah, and also, one last thing too is time lock stuff. If you time lock stuff, then you're just even further protecting yourself. Now, granted, if you don't have access to your Bitcoin until that particular time has elapsed, but then it's locked. So that's another thing you could do to protect yourself. Fucking time lock stuff. That's
always better than someone else having access to it right now.
Yeah,
so there you go.
A heck of a point. I want to talk quickly about ShakePay. They used to sponsor our show, and you know what? I'll be frank. I used to use them when everybody that sponsored our show. I used the product.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
I still use the ShakePay card. I still use the card.
You know what? I haven't used that in a long time. You should see the amount of data it harvests from you.
Oh, probably tons.
Because of that.
Probably tons.
Yeah. So it's anyways. They're in the news. They're doing a lot of launches these days. This day one of a series of launches. I don't know what's happening in the next few days, but right now today they launched USD accounts, and you could earn up to 3% on USD, and that 3% is paid in Bitcoin every week. And so you could buy and sell USD and deposits in USDC that could be converted into USD. So there's a little bit, you got the stable coin, you got the shitcoin USD. And so it's something else you could do with their platform. I know there are people out there that still use ShakePay. You may notice there's a change in their app. There's some added functionality, and now there's the ability to even put on some USD. They want your money, and they'll reward you for that. Yeah. It's up to you what you want to do. Do what's best.
USDC is on there too, Boomer pointing out. There's a number of different things they're apparently releasing this week. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. As much as I hate to admit it, I have a friend who just started buying Bitcoin, and I told him to use Bull. He went to ShakePay because he doesn't have a wallet, and so that's a conversation I'll have to have with him next time I see him. But they're still, I think, a pretty popular app. I haven't looked at the App Store rankings, but my guess is they're in the top 3 or 4 in Canada for crypto apps. Probably Coinbase, a few others maybe might be in there, but I think they're probably near the top. And why not? Like you said, they're harvesting data and doing some other stuff I don't like. Like we used to bug them about the Ethereum thing. You can, in fact, FYI, bother your sponsors about selling Ethereum. Don't let anyone fool you. If you know, you know. And for all the things that they did wrong, I think they still do a lot of things right for the beginner users. Now, I don't think that beginners should be going there still, because the spread is high. Bull is more secure, and really, while it's true that ShakePay has tutorials on how to take your coins off exchange and put them into a cold storage wallet, it's obviously not the default setting over there, and it should be. And I wish that they spent more time on that than they did getting USDC and USD on there. My thinking, Len, honestly, we talked about this years ago that we thought they were going to go public, and they all but told us they were going to go public at some point. Now, I don't know how long that process takes, and obviously Bitcoin has been a bit of a roller coaster in recent years, but I expect that they're going to continue to try and build out a financial services platform more than a Bitcoin platform, and the result of that will be significant for the price of the equity when it launches. But
well, they joined Payments Canada last week.
They did, yeah. They're going that direction, right? And so when I see all this stuff, I'm like, okay, so this is it's Cash App basically. Are you gonna see stocks on there pretty soon? Are you gonna see loan options? I don't know, but my guess is that they're gonna go a lot further in that direction than they do the direction of teaching self-custody, which is fine. It's their prerogative. And I do still like the guys over there, John and Carlo and these guys. And
Carlo's still there?
Yeah, I think so. So
I'm on a one-day shake streak.
He's doing policy. I just opened it up. Nice.
I just shook it. I got my 1 day 21 sats.
Good for you. But yeah, I looking at all that stuff, I think they're going in a direction that if you're a Bitcoiner, it's hard to justify spending your time and your money over there when you could be spending it with a place like Bull, right? And I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor of the show, but it's obvious, right? And then I see another one that's popular and obviously under a little bit of fire right now, Bitcoin Well, because Predator had some stuff on them. They also sell Ethereum. You could just not sell it and be done with it, but they keep selling it and ignoring questions about it and not really talking about it. And I think Bull Bitcoin is the only place you can go where you get, we joke about it in the sponsor read sometimes. They're extremists, and you need to be an extremist in a world where everyone is gunning for your Bitcoin. It's not about how much USD you can hold or how much USDC you can hold. Both of them are options on ShakePay. It's about how much Bitcoin can you hold. And you're seeing now, a true evolution away from USD in a lot of ways. And these guys decide this is the right time to offer it. I disagree with that view, and I think a lot of Bitcoiners do as well.
Now, to your friend who is buying and I guess still holding on ShakePay,
It's my it's actually my wife's cousin Josh. What's up, Josh?
Okay. Josh, get a blue wallet at least to start off. This will give you an opportunity to take it off ShakePay. And that way you can start learning how to hold on to your own Bitcoin and your own keys. That's a very good start.
D, send me a cold card. D's coming to my house for dinner on next Saturday. So D, bring a cold card with you. Free of charge, obviously. MVK, please, for me. And I'll give it to Josh.
Yeah. And if he wants to still buy from ShakePay, that's, I have no problems with that because he's beginning his Bitcoin journey. So the one thing I just, hopefully he listens to this advice is this last story is a good indication why.
Yeah.
You don't want to take off your Bitcoin from the exchange.
And do you think it's going to get more from, again, we're not breaking any news here for people who listen to this show, but do you think it's going to get less frequent that like call centers are targeted for SIM swaps as Bitcoin's price goes up? Or you think it's going to get, it's going to become more frequent? Oh,
definitely more frequent.
No chance, right? So,
yeah, you're not going to get SIM swapped and then had your Bitcoin stolen from Bull Bitcoin. Because there's no Bitcoin that they fucking hold for you. No.
Plus, who's going to get like when you call Bull Bitcoin, Guillaume picks up. Like Guillaume's not going to. He's not going to.
He's going to say the Leafs suck and then fucking hang up the phone. And...
Like he's not going to get got by you. Give me a break.
All right, let's talk about the Chivo wallet.
Yeah, sure.
And it was good to know it, I suppose, because or good riddance. I don't know. I haven't used this because it's something that's for people who are in El Salvador. For people who aren't familiar, Chivo. Yeah, this is a sad story. The music, yeah.
Keep talking. Yeah, I'll turn the volume down.
A software wallet, and it was developed by the El Salvador government so that you could transact in your Bitcoin because Bitcoin was legal tender there. It still kind of is in a way, but it's now being kind of pushed to the side. A lot of mixed reviews with Chivo. You've heard a lot of people doing, it worked, and other people it didn't work also well. There was a $30 bonus too for signing up. Remember, not for people
sure
who
do.
Encourage them.
Many months ago. Yeah.
Well, Chivo used Lightning, and that was the way it transacted. And through the pressure of the IMF, El Salvador is now at the point that Chivo is going to be mothballed, and it's going to be done so at the end of this month of July of 2025. And that's all from the $1.4 billion loan that they secured from the IMF. And they have plans to try to sell it, but if not, they'll just simply discontinue it, and that's it. And with that $1.4 billion loan, I said it before in a different chat, is that they jumped the queue. They should have went to Bitcoin Treasury strategy, and they could have got listed on NASDAQ ES or something like that, and then they could have easily just diluted the fuck out of that company, pay off all the bills that external debt they have, and so that's what happens. Don't play chicken with the IMF. Find some other ways to do business.
Are we done with El Salvador as a Bitcoin country now? Are we finished with these guys?
Well,
how many people? How many simply Bitcoin thumbnails? How many more do we need to see? Okay, out there, El Salvador outsmarting the IMF. Get fucking real, okay? Get real. It's not like this is never gonna.
But you know what? There's going to be another country that adopts it, right, Joey?
Who?
No, I'm not saying who, but it's inevitable. There's going to be another country that adopts Bitcoin, right?
We got to get a picture of that. The president of that country has to have a picture with his mouth open. We can slap on a thumbnail there. I feel like, what is that meme with the guy slapping the hood of a car? You know how many surprise faces we can fit in this bad boy? Fucking tons of them.
And you know what? Once they do that, they'll be offering up property over there, and you can retire there for 0.01 Bitcoin, and you'll be sitting on a beach. Wonderful. It'll be good times.
So true. Once this billionaire does a $1 trillion Bitcoin backflip, you can retire on 0.01 Bitcoin. Oh, God. Kill me.
Let's talk about the Bitcoin miners, and they are fucked, it looks like. I'll even, before I go into this story, just today we had Core Scientific. They were bought out by
acquired. Yeah,
$9 billion.
CoreWeave. That's crazy. That's
a lot of capital.
That's more than an NBA team is worth. NBA teams are like, I think the Lakers just sold. They didn't sell the whole team, obviously, but if you extrapolate out the Buss family shares that were sold, that team is worth $12 billion. Celtics, I think last year or beginning of this offseason, maybe sold for the equivalent of 6 and change, just around 6 point something, maybe 7. So, CoreWeave is worth, or was it Core or CoreWeave that was picked up?
Core Scientific was.
Core Scientific, yeah. So Core was picked up for more than the Boston Celtics are worth.
So first at $10 billion, which is going to be valued at $10 billion first in your eyes? Core or the LA Lakers?
Lakers are at 12. Celtics will be. Celtics will be at 10 before Core is.
Sorry, Clyde.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so that's one, but another one, Argo, and that's another one of it's very old, publicly traded Bitcoin, one of the older ones out there.
We used to talk about this all the time when the show first started, the Bitcoin equities, right? Yeah, but
it's time to talk about
for so many of them.
Time to talk about because they're almost ready to get buried. Talking about Argo because they're at the point of insolvency, and it's all thanks to there's the increase in difficulty of mining, and that's been going on since the beginning of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And these guys are bleeding cash to the point where they may not have any going forward, and that's going to cause them obviously a big problem. But they do have a lifeline, Joey.
What is it?
They do have a lifeline. A company by the name of Growler Mining provided them. This is fucking incredible stuff, by the way. These terms: $7.5 million in emergency funds, and the interest rate is the secured overnight financing rate, like essentially the central bank what the rate is, plus 6%.
Oh, cheap.
So it's a minimum of 10% plus commitment and exit fees on top of that. So they basically got put over the barrel and just fucking railed. So Growler expects to receive at least 80% of the enlarged share capital of Argo, and that's the total number of shares the company has issued. Shareholders fucking wrecked through the process. Yeah. Bondholders are going to get equity through common stock, and that's about $40 billion for people that are counting at home. And Argo will cease to exist on the London Stock Exchange. Still be traded on NASDAQ, though. So they give them credit over there. But this is it. Like, this is a company, very old. They were into Bitcoin mining, but you know what? They weren't able to adapt. And because they didn't have the ability to adapt, when mining gets adopted and has been adopted by companies like Shell, like whatever the fuck, they have the ability just to monetize energy that has not been monetized before.
Okay, also,
and energy producers too.
Don't forget, when we were talking about those companies, first of all, I want to point out to people that mining as an equity play and a reasonable position to have in your stock portfolio basically went downhill as soon as Dean Linden left. What was the name of the company he was there? He was doing Luxfolio. As soon as Luxfolio gave him the boot, that's when Bitcoin mining companies as shareholder value plays started to go downhill. Number one, just want to point that out. Number two, the thing that people liked about those companies, if I'm not mistaken, was basically those stock prices ripped on two events, right? One was we're adding hash rate, or we have a roadmap for hash rate. And two was we're adding Bitcoin to our balance sheet. We had the BitFarms CFO, God, I can't remember his name. He was such a great guest. Gagnon. No, Ben is the CEO. Jeff Lucas was on, and he was talking to us about the synthetic HODL strategy they had with options and stuff. Very good. It seems very well-rounded, very responsible. And BitFarms, through ups and downs, has been sustaining operations. They're kind of operating under the radar in a lot of ways. No one's talking about them like they were 3 years ago, but clearly a company that's doing things right and not going the way of these press releases every day and extreme, opportunity, AI and this and that, even though they are doing a little bit of that. So you got these kinds of companies, and, Len, now if you want exposure to Bitcoin, you just buy a treasury company, and, the replacement for the hash map, the roadmap to more hash rate is, here's our plan for 42 million Bitcoin, right? Saylor's 21 plus 21 presentation from last year, November-ish, right? So,
why did he talk about 42 million? You should get 142.
He actually did. Bitcoin. He actually expanded it. He actually expanded it a few months ago. You may
a trillion
know or
Bitcoin.
Not know.
What the fuck are you talking about?
So these guys, the miners, operate in a difficult space. I said this on the program then, and I've said it to our friend SB privately, and I think also on the show, and I'll say it again now. The miners don't make sense as an investment. for two or three reasons. You know, some of them I've already touched on, but I'll try and be specific here. One is that they're an impossibly difficult industry to compete in. Two is that they are always forced sellers of Bitcoin. That's the nature of their business. And three is that they understand, the miners understand that Bitcoin mining is not a good business. And so they know that they're uninvestable as Bitcoin miners. And so they pivot to AI and data, but they're also not good AI or data plays. You can get better AI and data plays too. You know, check the NVIDIA versus pick your Bitcoin miner over the last 3 or 4 years, or fuck, probably other AI adjacent plays as well. They're not investable. And I think mining is going to become very, very difficult at the industrial level. And like you mentioned there's going to be giants coming into this thing at some point in the next 5 years, if not sooner. And that's what you're going to have, you know, that's all there is to it. Not to mention that if you're a Bitcoin miner now, like you have Meta and Amazon buying nuclear facilities to power data centers. You know, what's Iron doing? Does Iron have a nuclear facility? Would they even be able to get one if they tried? No, they wouldn't.
They're at 50 exahash right now. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
They're fucking tapped into the
in
grid
10,
or they
in
produce
10
their own.
years.
I don't know.
In 10 years, they're going to be a fucking zero, and so are all the other Bitcoin miners. Because as soon as oil, gas, and nuclear start to really proliferate in terms of their Bitcoin mining outfits, those guys are done. I don't see how they last. Who in their right mind thinks that, you know, these companies are going to be able to outcompete power players from 300 years ago that are still on top of the world today, like, or 200 years ago, I guess. Like, what is the likelihood of that? It's basically zero. Yeah.
But
go ahead.
You're looking at stuff now. This has matured. This industry has matured to the point where now we're able to look at years of data.
Yeah.
Right. So like and you're 100% right. It's going to go downhill. It's going to continually go downhill, and people that invest in it, they're going to get wrecked in the process. But I just wanted to use this as a time just to have a point a picture of what's going on, paint a picture of what's going on right now with these Bitcoin treasury companies, these zombie companies. They produce fucking nothing aside from just raising debt. And so Bitcoin miners at one time, they were, I guess, the darling of the Bitcoin, you know, people like to invest in them, but you know, years later we see they're not. It was just fool's gold, so to speak. And the same could happen with these treasury companies. A lot of them, they look all great, right? You might be able to make some money, but who knows? In a few years, once that industry is matured, you look back and say, fuck, could it withstand a 50% drop in Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin does go down 50%.
Yeah.
It's done it quite a bit. Like, can these companies withstand that with all who the hell knows?
Well,
I don't know.
I think there's like, how deep do I want to go on this? There's a reasonable expectation that MicroStrategy will be fine.
They're the only ones.
And Semler may also be fine in the medium term because there's no way to get exposure over there in Japan, or Metaplanet. Sorry, not Semler. So, you know, you have the jurisdictional arbitrage of Metaplanet and the debt structuring and the new pref offerings over at MSTR that make this sort of a worthwhile endeavor for those companies.
It's these companies that have they produce nothing. They're zombie companies.
Yes.
They're
shout out by the way to Phil. Coin Icarus did a stream today that I caught about 15 minutes of, talking about exactly this, Len, that these guys they're zombie companies. Like, you're investing in something that wasn't working an hour ago, and they announced that they're going to put a bunch of money into Bitcoin, and now their stock's up 150%.
That's
like,
incredible.
You be the judge.
And
you know,
I can't blame companies that do adopt this strategy, because all the data shows that it fucking works, at least for the short term. If I wanted to pump the valuation of my company, I would do the exact same thing. But it does not say that this is the right thing to do. I'm just saying, if I was in the position of being a CEO of a zombie company, I would certainly look at the option of adopting Bitcoin strategy and fucking do the same thing that's being done at these others. Does it mean you shouldn't invest in it? Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. It's your choice. It's your money. Do what the fuck you want. I'm just trying to say, like, what's going to happen here with the Bitcoin miners. Look what happened over a period of time. A lot of people liked them. Now they don't. And so with these zombie companies, they provide nothing. Zero. There's no value there whatsoever. And the only thing you're really hedging your bet on is Bitcoin continually goes up in price. And if it doesn't go up, if it goes down, they have nothing to fall back on. More debt, more liquidation. Oh, so dilution. Sorry, that's really their only strategies. That's not a winning strategy. These guys are just having fun. If you think about it, man, you're telling them you're going, instead of taking your money and buying Bitcoin, you're saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to move that money in the bank into my brokerage, and from that, I'm going to buy equity in this company.
Take a risk. Take a risk.
Try to increase the value of that company, and they're going to somehow use that increased value to buy more Bitcoin through dilution or raising a capital. And you're telling them that you want them to hold on to your Bitcoin. I don't want fucking ShakePay holding my Bitcoin. I don't want these guys holding on. And on top of that, I got to somehow get my gains, 5, 6, 7, 8 figures worth of gains, and convert that into Bitcoin later on.
Yeah.
I don't think I can.
It might be hard. I mean, you say it all the time. It might be hard. The thing I would just note here, I'll play devil's advocate for a second. There are still people, I think, who, I'm not necessarily opposed to this. If you want to buy MicroStrategy in your TFSA because you have room and like, I can't fault you for that. Len and I have a disagreement on whether or not that's a good idea or at what exposure level it's a good idea or a bad idea, maybe. But I still think there's a lot of people who use those vehicles and want to get the price appreciation to do things in their lives with the TFSA. I am among them. So I understand that point of view.
Person that we know, and I kind of feel sorry for him in a way because he's slightly older than me, I believe. And he mentioned that he has RSPs and he's using those RSPs to buy these companies. And if he takes it out, obviously he's going to take a hit because it's going to be, he's still working and all this. So he wants to, I would imagine, save this for retirement. So he's kind of painted himself into a corner because of this fiat system he's in. And I kind of feel sorry for him. Like
RRSP, I would not be using for this. Yeah.
But that's what he's using. And he's probably, think about it. If he's a little bit older than me, he probably has invested in that for a number of years. So he has a significant amount of capital in there. What else? What is he going to do with it? Buy gold stocks? Right? He's kind of just, and that's what I hate about the system. You don't get access to it. It's not yours. You got to beg. And even when you beg, who the fuck knows where it's going to end up? It could get wrecked in the end because it's just through, look what happened in Egypt. Look what happened in Lebanon. Overnight, their currencies were wrecked. And not the same thing is going to happen in Canada. It's probably not. I think the likelihood of that happening in Canada is very slim. But I'd rather opt on side on 0% versus very slim because I only have one life. If I fuck up, that's it. I don't want to work when I'm 70. I want to have fun when I'm 70. And so, at least for me, and I know my situation is different than everybody else's because I have very little RSPs and my TFSA is near zero now. But that works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. Just, you know what? Do what you guys got to do. To be honest, I don't give a fuck. I just, like I said somewhere else, I hope you have access to your capital when it comes time to get access to your capital, and you're able to use that in a way you want to use it. Because the way things are trending, I can't guarantee that in 10 years. Maybe probably 5, but 10, 15?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
You want to buy a car and we can't even get cars.
RRSPs are tough. Yeah, it's tough to sell me on putting money in Bitcoin treasury companies and other stuff in your RRSP. Like, you're better off just buying Bitcoin, I think. Yeah, I see in the chat, like, a question I see all the time that, these guys are going to be able to just pick up companies on the cheap down the road with all the Bitcoin they have. I'm not sure that's the case. What companies, presumably if you're buying MicroStrategy or other companies with that in mind, the question I would have for you is, why don't you just buy the cash flowing companies now? And if you think that the cash flowing companies are going to be, picked up on the cheap by the Bitcoin treasury companies, then what makes you think the Bitcoin treasury companies are going to be able to turn those companies that were cash flowing into something that makes sense? Like it's investable. It's hard. It's kind of hard to do that math. Maybe I'm missing something, but it doesn't add up to me.
Why does somebody buy XRP, Ethereum?
Yeah, they think it's going to go up. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that they are rolling the dice and hoping whatever they put in, they'll be able to get a multiple of that out.
Yeah.
That's what their intention is. And you know what? That is by definition shitcoining. Right? That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's
Yeah,
a fucking
that's a
gamble.
fair point.
You have no access to your capital. It's somebody else that has to control it for you. You can't verify anything. Like it's by every check, like it's check. It's a shitcoin. And you know what? If people want to do it, like I say, I don't give a fuck. I honestly don't care. And if companies want to buy Bitcoin, I don't give a fuck either. It does not bother me one bit. Actually,
Yeah.
I encourage companies to buy Bitcoin. What I prefer, though, if I had an option, though, it would be companies that have cash on hand, like just excess amount, and they put 1% of their cash in
Treasury.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, treasury.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
At least they're not wrecking anybody. They're not diluting or they're not going into debt. They're just using what they've accumulated over the years and just buying some Bitcoin. I would love to see that. And that seems to be a more prudent model. It's boring and it may not lead to fantastic riches, but it won't lead to ruins at the same time.
Yeah, it's good. It's good money management. I'll just address Jason's comment in the chat. The S&P and let it ride for registered. I don't think there's anything wrong with buying this stuff in your TFSA as long as you have a short time horizon. But like, I would not. This is not financial advice. I would not be putting any money in my RSP if I was you guys. That's money that would go into Bitcoin for me. So that's my strategy. I don't put anything in my registered account. Now I have a pension, so who knows what that'll be worth in 20, 30 years. But I still think like the idea that you're going to sit in fiat when there's clearly a pathway to zero, or at least an accelerated rate of debasement over the next, even the 5 years, right? I mean, we're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill in the back half of the show, but that's going to add something like 10 trillion total debt over 3.5 or 4 trillion over 10 years. It's 5 trillion more on the debt ceiling. And that's without really knowing what the Federal Reserve is going to do. If money gets easier in September or October, then that number is going to go up. And by the way, Powell is out in 26. And so you're going to start seeing markets price that in as well. Like things are going to get hairy for people who are in cash in the next little while. Now, it's funny to talk to Bitcoiners about this because Bitcoiners who are my age, Len's age, a little younger than me, let's say, are all seeing this now for the first time, right? Like, man, I can't be in cash because, even a year went by and I can't buy the same amount of steaks. I can't buy the same amount of tuxedos, can't buy the same amount of gold bars, right? Things that are historical sort of measures of value. Other people, wealthy people have known that for a long time. And there's more and more people that the pinch is coming down the ladder so quickly that people, who have like, let's say a 6-figure sum of Bitcoin, are realizing now that they can't sit in cash. They have to keep enough cash to keep the lights on and the heat on, and that's about it. And I think a lot of people are coming to that realization, and like that's going to drive the price up too. Like the idea that the price is not going to outperform fiat or the S&P, I think is like that's not a bet I would take.
Yeah, in the long run, it's certainly.
And don't forget,
Bitcoin.
like
who knows?
Like nominally, okay, like is the S&P going to go to 8,000? Maybe, but like, what is that at 8,000 S&P? What is the dollar worth? Like the denominator, what is it worth at that
How many
point?
Ford 150s could I buy? For example, with
who knows, right? Who knows? So
is it going to cost 120 grand to get that one?
Someone was telling me at a party, I was at a birthday party for a 1-year-old yesterday. Times are changing for me, obviously. And someone was telling me that a base level F-150 is about $80,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I had no idea it was that much.
I like to use something like that. And it's not a true comparison, but because, now you're putting more computers, more
but there's
shit
still
into
value in knowing that price. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. But and that's a good indication how poorly the dollar has retained its value. In the past, you probably could have got one for 30,000. I mean, we're talking many, many years ago, but now you're to 80 grand. Like, what the fuck is that? And so you don't look at other things. Don't look at comparison to US dollar. Like, look at like actual things that are made, shit like that. Price of homes, for instance, is a good one.
Yeah.
But even that, it kind of could. So the problem with the homes, though, it could easily adjust the price because if you bring in more people, you're increasing the demand for it, so the prices are going to go up. For cars, for like an F-150, they're going to build as many as they have to, right?
Yeah.
And so the price is not going to be adjusting based on more people coming to Canada.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
Anyways,
Anyways,
there you go.
let's say we end this. We had some more to talk about, but like,
Do you want to do one more
for
quick
instance.
one? What do you want?
No, we'll go for too long, I think.
Okay, sure. Let's cut it. Stay with us if you're on video. I can see a number of you guys are here watching and listening and whatever. I get notifications on my watch when someone subscribes to us on Rumble. It's been vibrating, which is funny. I didn't realize that happened. So yeah, if you're with us now, stay with us. And if you're on audio, then come back tomorrow for the back half, the notable stories as we call them. Till then, take care of yourself.
And don't leave your Bitcoin on the exchange.
Where do you want to start? Your big beautiful BRRRR or what?
Yeah, let's talk about it, because this is now it's jumped all the hurdles. It's now reality. This is passed. It's House has passed barely. The Senate has passed barely, and here we are. So I mean, one thing I just really want to talk about, particularly from this, I'm sure you want to go into other things yourself, but the one thing I just want to bring up is that there's the inclusion of the it's a fucking beauty. Children born after the date July 4th, 2026, they now have the ability to establish through their parents a private tax-deferred investment account. So any child born after July 4th, 2026 will be able to get this. And through this, 1K will be given by the government for those folks.
Amazing.
So all gains will be tax-deferred until the person turns 18 and could then be withdrawn and taxed for capital gains at that moment. And $5,000 annual limit contributions. It seems very TFSA-like if you look at it, but it's a beauty, this thing, because what it does, it's 1K that could be given out to newborns, put into the market. It's enriched the people that Donald Trump and his friends like. And you know what's the expense? Potentially devaluing the US dollar. Who gives a fuck about that? Because in the meantime, we are making the market higher. We're making it more valuable. And that's what really counts. There's no fucking long-term thinking here. It's all about the short term. It's all about this has been a disaster.
Yeah.
And they wanted to save money and spending. I mean,
it's over. It's over.
The next. I mean, I want to talk about in the next segment a little bit more about this, but I'm gonna just hand the baton over to you if you want to talk about the big, beautiful bill.
I would love to. I'd love to.
Yeah,
let's go through some of the spending here. Okay, so an estimate. It's absolutely insane. The CBO, so the Congressional Budget Office, estimates the bill could add $2.4 trillion to primary deficits over 10 years. $3 trillion, including interest, and some other independent estimates have numbers as high as $5.7 trillion over 10 years to the deficit. That's a lot. Some of the spending, hilarious. $14 billion for deportation operations. Send them back. $45 billion over 4 years for 100,000 new migrant detention beds. Can someone do the math on that? How much per bed for $45 billion and 100,000 beds? $46 billion for a U.S.-Mexico border wall. $25 billion for the Golden Dome missile defense system.
And Canada's going to help pay into that.
Canada's going to pay. That's right. Like, absolutely insane. When you think about, I was thinking about this the other day, deciding like what to do with some of my stock portfolio and trying to manage, because we're on one income right now, 1.5, I guess, with the baby stuff coming from the Fed and province. So trying to think about my stock portfolio and, you know, what moves can I make to keep my wife at home in January, February without really selling anything. And I started laughing to myself when I saw some of these numbers. And I thought, I'm not going to sell no matter what. Like, I'll eat cans of soup before I sell, because anything measured in US dollars is going to go absolutely nuts in the next 2 years. On top of all this spending, okay, there's a clear bipartisan willingness to abandon all elements of fiscal responsibility in the United States. So rare that you see that, but it's happening, okay? It's because, at least a little bit, because of this war footing the U.S. sort of finds itself on in the last year or so. And I think also just because there's just too many holes in the system to not try and plug them. And so they're going to try and hit this thing with a bazooka and see what happens. Canada's going to do the same thing. Europe is going to do the same thing. You're going to see this everywhere. The entire modern world is going to run this MMT, pseudo MMT playbook and just pump money into every corner of the economy to try and juice things, especially because if they win the midterms, you basically
Republicans?
Yeah, if the Republicans win the midterms on the back of something like this, let's say like the stock market's at all-time highs and people are happy in America over stuff like this, like you kind of see the writing on the wall there. At the same time, the Democrats look, rudderless, no leadership. Bernie Sanders getting dressed down by Joe Rogan on his own, on a podcast appearance. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez looking about 20 pounds heavier, than she did before.
The Republicans were in pretty bad shape right after. Like, think of where they are right now.
Yeah.
It's 6 months after the president took office. 6 months after Biden took office, the Republicans were in awful shape.
Yeah.
Trump was still out there crying about they stole the election. The optics looked bad. You had no idea if he was going to run again. They had no clear leader that was going to run in 2020.
Yes.
2024. So the similarities, they are strong.
I think the Republicans are like in a position of power that they've not been in probably since 9/11, honestly. There's a lot of money coming down the pipe, and it's just going to make things better. The Democrats, like I said, not only rudderless in terms of their leadership, but rudderless in terms of like policy. Like what is the policy position they have that's unifying? Now you could make the case that Zoran Mamdani or whatever the New York guy's name is the face of new democratic politics. Socialism,
we'll talk about him in a bit,
unapologetic resource theft, et cetera, et cetera. But, anyway, like I was saying, I can't imagine thinking about selling stocks or Bitcoin because we know what happens when money gets pumped into the system. Bitcoin responds in kind. It's high beta M2 basically. And this is exactly what a lot of Bitcoiners have been saying for a long time, that there's a print coming. Larry Lepard just put a book out called The Big Print. Everyone can see the writing on the wall here. Lynn Alden, nothing stops this train. These comments are everywhere and everybody knows it. And the other thing, Len, amazingly, to your point, the US government now, for every new kid born, is going to give $1,000 more to the market. Like, it's unbelievable. They're just going to, it's just juice. It's all juice. Yeah.
The only saving grace here is birth rate is low.
Saving grace for them, maybe.
If you're
sure.
positive from this, they at least are not going to print.
But they want.
Crazy
but
amounts
here's the thing
for this particular part.
But here's the thing: they want to juice the market.
That's exactly.
They want to be able to say, like, okay, the market's at all-time highs. It's all natural. But really, like, what they're looking to do is give people give in air quotes, because you don't actually see the money. It goes right to some pre-locked. It's crazy. It's crazy that they're doing this.
It's pathetic. It is truly pathetic. And from all this, then we had Elon Musk get fucking pissed.
Yeah.
From the spending.
Start a new party. Try to start a new party.
America Party. Yeah. And the third party thing, Ross Perot was the last one that even made a slight dent.
Yeah.
And that was in 92, I think. And he tried to get 96 and got wrecked. But you know what? The one thing, though, that Elon has going for him, besides all the money and the fame and everything, the big beautiful bill, it barely passed the House.
Yeah.
It barely passed the Senate. If you had one or two people in either of the two, well, actually 3 in the House, 1 in the Senate, that's enough to really, cause a problem, to throw a wrench in the gears. It reminds me kind of, in a way, the NDP, how they propped up the Liberals. And with that, they were able to get some ideas into existence. Dental care is the one that comes to mind. There's probably more than that, but that's what I think Elon is kind of hoping for. Just you got this very close. The balance of power it's not swaying one way or another. It's very much in the middle, and he could come and be in the middle and just fuck things up. But really, America Party. Did you see he's talking about Bitcoin, right? Like, he's talking about fiat.
He's talking about fiat is dead. Yeah.
And anybody out there that's saying, "Oh, look, Elon Musk, this party, Bitcoin," we've been burned 1 billion times before. We'll be burned 1 billion times again. Whatever your expectation is with America Party, Elon Musk, and Bitcoin, fucking set it so fucking low then drive it down a few extra notches. And that's where you should start from. And if it exceeds that, it is a monumental achievement, because the reality is Bitcoin is not going to be involved whatsoever. This guy, Doge, he loves his Doge, right? Bitcoin, he's a fucking troll, right?
Yeah.
He's a kid with money. He's a troll. So the first chance he's going to say something like Doge, he'll fucking say it and put Bitcoin in the back burner. Like, it's pathetic. And the fact that he has to do this, like, it just goes to show you Donald Trump, fucking guy, and the people that around him, just trying to make the people around him rich. They'd say, okay, we're going to go in and nothing's going to happen with Iran. Fucking they strike Iran. In the United States, they fucking launched their own fucking planes to fucking strike. And shortly before that, you had people in Congress putting money on defense companies, knowing that they're going to make fucking bank. Like, it's fucking bullshit. You try to do insider trading, you get wrecked. You fucking throw you in the slammer. These guys, they're doing the exact same fucking thing. Nothing happens to them. And, oh, great job. Fuck, Pelosi's worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump talking about draining the swamp. This guy can't even fucking clean a fish tank. Never mind fucking draining the swamp. He's done fucking nothing with this one.
Print the shirts.
Print that one. On top of that, remember, he says, oh, then I'm pissed off. These guys, there's going to be a truce. An hour later, fucking Israel, they fucking bombed.
Unloaded.
Like, come on. We know where the fucking power is coming from. We know what's being done. The guy that was fucking hung, we have no idea where the files are right now. Somebody was put in jail for I don't know what reason. There was a client list, but it's not going to be seen. But still, you got this fucking war going on. You got money being pumped in the market. People are making fucking all this cash on you. What the fuck? This guy, he is 47, is way worse than 45. 45 was a fucking fantastic troll. 47 is just out for himself and his buds. Yeah. And they're just here to rape and pillage as much as they can. And they're doing that. And it's a cost of what? Your fucking savings, your earnings, your ability to fucking do things. Fuck that. Like, come on. Like, I hope Elon makes a dent, but I have no fucking hope in him doing anything. He's trying to show if he's got a bigger dick than Trump, but I don't know if he's going to have the ability to do that. Like, a lot of his wealth is tied into fucking subsidies from the United States, from the electric vehicle.
Well, he says he doesn't need them, right? Or doesn't want them. So I don't know.
Remember the last time he and Trump had a fucking rift? The valuation of Tesla went down, and then shortly thereafter, they fucking made friends, and the price went up. I wonder how many people were in the inside for that. We're gonna tell our friends, we're gonna do this. Just fucking sell now, buy in 2 days. And you do that. Right, it's not like anything's going to be done. You go look at the people in Congress, how much their net worth is. It's a multiple, like 100-time multiple of their yearly salary. How do they fucking earn it? It's not through fucking speaking engagements and fucking selling books. It's playing the market and being fucking very good at playing the market. How you have this inside knowledge? I don't know. They have that 8 ball that always comes up, fucking showing them the right way. We don't have that. Nah. I have nothing else. I'm just.
Where do we go from there? I mean, this Epstein thing obviously is a huge lie, but that's all I'll say. It's obviously a huge lie. Like, so
how do you come up? A couple of months ago, we have so much fucking evidence we got to go through.
The guy unalived himself because he was innocent, because there's no client list, because there's no, like, what is the rationale there? Help me understand it.
There is. You know what it is. No, come on. I don't want to say it. We all know what the fuck it is. And that's how we could just sit here and just take it. This system is so big that this stuff could happen 200 years ago, 200, 300. People would fucking, they revolted. Right? They got pissed off from taxes. Was it taxation without representation? Yeah. Now you're getting fucking reamed up the ass. You have, you go to any city, you fucking go to Philadelphia, and it's like The Walking Dead.
Did you see the clip from Philadelphia? The shootout? Yeah. Oh my god.
And you have this everywhere.
Looks nuts.
This stuff happens more frequently, and it becomes just normalized. And you know what? Do you want to talk anymore? Because I could transition to a very adjacent.
Go
subject.
ahead. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to this.
This
I
is
mean, I agree.
Chicago.
I just note that I agree on all fronts. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. The Chicago, we have to talk about them. There was a drive-by shooting over there. 18 people were shot, 4 killed, sadly. And the people killed were leaving a rap star's release party at the River North nightclub. And this nightclub has been, there's been shootings over there for, last few years. The artist name, I'm not sure if you heard of her before, Mellow Bucks.
What do you think?
Double Z at the end. Mellow Bucks. Anyways, her boyfriend was one of the people that were shot. But somebody on X was able to post some of the lyrics to her song. And I'm going to read it out to you.
Oh, no.
I'm going to read it. So people out there playing at home, see if you could figure out what the fuck
if
is.
you're in the car with children, this is the time.
No. There's nothing. So, okay. I got my blick out, pull up, hop out, boom. I feel like Django with my switch. I wet a bitch up like a pool. I have a better understanding of vulgar Latin than I do this. And I have no formal training in fucking vulgar Latin.
I
had to go to YouTube. So I had to go to AI to translate this to English.
Okay.
All right. So in English, you'll all understand this one.
Sure.
I have my gun out. I arrive, exit the vehicle, and shoot. I feel like Django with my automatic weapon. I will shoot someone multiple times. This is lyrics and this is stuff that's being played out. You're singing this in I don't know what language, but after I translate, I understand it. And this being played out, it's exactly what happened at the nightclub. Chicago, I love you. Keep being Chicago. You got to keep doing it because you are a segment of the show that we can't give up. The CBP, Chicagoans Bitcoiner podcast.
We got to get Len listening to Ebonics by Big L. And
I have no idea what fucking is.
Big L's a rapper from the 90s. Dead. I think he was killed actually by another gang member. But he was really good and had this song called Ebonics where he talks basically about slang, street slang. And it's a very famous song. I don't know it off by heart, but you could look at the lyrics if you ever wanted to figure out what some stuff was. It helped you understand.
And I'm not kidding. I read this and I look at vulgar Latin. I tried to compare the two. And seriously, I had an easier chance at translating a random vulgar Latin sentence into English than I had this. And that's fucking incredible. How? The vulgar Latin has been dead for fucking how many hundreds, thousands of years. But this is a language that's kind of spoken today. Sung, I don't know what the fuck.
For sure.
I'm so out of touch.
Have you heard Toronto waste-ute languages? The stuff the kids are saying.
What the fuck is it? I was born and raised in Toronto.
You gotta look up the Rexdale mans talking on IG.
I was born and raised in Toronto.
It's truly demented stuff. IQs are lower than they've ever been all over the world.
And you know what? When I hear stuff like that, UBI, I could see becoming a real reality.
100%. Who's going to pay for Mellow Bucks' studio time, if not you and I, with UBI?
Yeah, it's got to be the States. And it's too bad. I've never heard of this artist before. And you know what? I probably will never talk or hear about her again. I mean, else there's another shooting in Chicago. But this is it. This is what we're dealing with. And you think that your pensions, like your CPP and shit like this, people going to work that's kind of keeping the valuation of your dollar up and contributing to economy. I don't know. It just seems like we're heading for fucking doom.
Doesn't it seem like there's suddenly a lot of people looking behind the curtain and seeing that there is no wizard? That's how it seems to me more and more. More and more people are talking to me about things that, even though they're not quite articulating it that way, it's indicative of them understanding that there's more to this than meets the eye. Great example I've used before. My wife doesn't want to go back to work. We have another friend who's pregnant, already talking about, going back part-time only. And, women in the workforce is a touchy subject for a lot of reasons, but I think it's undeniable that once you have a child, the likelihood that you want to leave the child and go back to Excel sheets, it's undeniable that people just don't want to do that. And, that's one piece of the sort of, the facade that is modern, that is modernity in a lot of ways. And And, you know, we've just pushed things to this extreme, and people are saying to themselves, like, this can't be right. Like that Penn State swimmer, the guy who was, you know, saying he was a girl, Leah Thomas or whatever. Penn State now forced to apologize and write a letter about how they're going to uphold Title IX and stuff like that. Like, of course you have to apologize for that. Yeah, in the chat, the conference, probably Dan, what's up, Dan, talking about silent retirement, another great example. You know, like it's weird too that this quiet quitting thing basically had no impact on the economy. People giving the bare minimum to their jobs, if not less, has had no impact on GDP. GDPs continue to rise, right? Interesting. I saw Fast Company posted a story the other day about something that they're calling micro retirements. Do you know what they're calling a micro retirement, Len?
I have no idea.
Taking 2 weeks off every 18 months.
That's a micro retirement.
That's what they're calling
it. Like
it.
a vacation.
And
That's
people
worse than every 18 months.
Yeah, and people are looking at this story going like, "The fuck are you guys talking about?" Like, I take
in
vacations
Europe
more than once every 18. It's a vacation. It's a week off. And someone in the comments is like, "Wait till they hear about my micro retirement that I take every Saturday and Sunday."
Now, I know Europe is not the greatest place to talk about like economy, but you know what? I believe in a lot of countries these start off with 4 weeks vacation every fucking year.
Yeah.
So you think about that. You're going to use up 4 weeks. Your first year, you start fucking working, not every 2 weeks, every 18 months.
Yeah.
They'll work us to the fucking bone, and nobody gives a shit about anything. That's why I buy Bitcoin. It's my way of just.
I'm with you.
Everything.
I'm with
Fuck
you.
it. Whatever happens, I don't fucking care. Like we could talk. I want to talk about the buddy in New York, the mayor over there, the mayoral candidate.
Sure.
And apparently he went to Columbia, and not the country. I'm talking about the school, right?
He might. I mean, how do you know you didn't go to Columbia, the country, too? Maybe there wasn't a box to check for that either. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Anyways, in his application, he indicated that his ethnic group is Black, non-Hispanic. That's what he identified himself as. I don't know. Maybe he's being proactive here. He wants to get free swimming lessons in Cambridge. I don't know what the fuck. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I like the fact that he's doing this, and he did this, and now he's being called out, like, because just doing a visual inspection doesn't seem to be black to me. But what the fuck do I know?
You did a visual. You gave him a once over. Yeah.
I took a peek. Like I did a comparison to somebody else that may appear to be black, like Terrell Davis, friend.
Michael Jordan and him.
Michael Jordan
side by side. Like, LeBron James doesn't look that.
But what do I know? Like Michael Jackson claimed to be black at the end.
This guy is such a fucking LARP loser. It's unbelievable. He's got these videos of him talking to the media. He's eating rice with his hands. He's like, authentically Indian. Then other times he's just eating with a fork. Sometimes he talks about how he's, a person of color. Other times he talks about how he's not. And now he's talking about how he's black. And he's obviously not black. And his excuse is, well, I have a complex ethnicity and background. There was nothing there that reflects it. What people aren't talking about is that on the sheet, there's a section for other and a place you can write it in. And he chose not to. He chose black on purpose. Why? Because it's easier to get in that way. He's 33 years old. He's part of that eternal victim complex demographic. And so, yeah, that's what you expect to see. The guy's a loser. Eric Adams, okay, is about to embark on what might be the funniest incumbent mayoral campaign the American public has ever seen.
Explain, because I'm not familiar with the fact
he's
that
on TV now talking. He's doing like day in the life shit. He's tweeting about. Did you see that thing? He put up a video of the Cha-Cha Slide. You know that song?
No.
Slide to the left.
Slide
to the right.
Yeah.
And it's a video of a front loader rolling over illegal mopeds back and forth. Slide to the left. Slide. His Instagram is nuts. It's nuts. And like we have ragged on Eric Adams a lot over the years.
Oh yeah.
But he's come around. As soon as he said he doesn't want any more migrants, now everyone hates him. Well, now I like him. He seems to be understanding of the actual state of affairs in his city. And this Zoran guy, he doesn't get it. He's a LARPer. And I just want to note maybe one thing before we go on, or I'll pass back to you. Dave Friedberg on All In, prescient as always, man. Last year, right after Trump won, and all the other guys on the podcast were saying, there's going to be a conservative impulse now. It's going to sweep the country. People have had it. It's too far gone in a lot of places. And Friedberg was like, no, you have that exactly wrong. What's going to happen is there's going to be a socialist impulse. And he took a victory lap on that the other day on the show, because he basically said, look, this is the first of many. There's too many people who went to universities, got shit degrees, have tons of debt, can't find jobs, and they all live in big cities because that's where the schooling was. All these big cities are going to have socialist impulses. It's up to Americans in those areas to try and express and help these people understand that publicly run grocery stores are not the answer, that free transit is not the answer, that state-funded gender reassignment surgeries are not the answer. The answer is more growth, more capitalism, more opportunity, and less government. And a lot of people don't feel that way because it's not the experience they've had. And to be honest, it's hard for me to defend it's hard for me to, I should say, to really indict that position for people who are born, I don't know, after the year 2000. What has the government done for anyone after the year 2000? 08 crisis is maybe your first, stone tablet memory. And that's not going away anytime soon. People's parents lost their jobs, economy in the tank. Tons of people got super rich. You watched Obama become the first black president, the people's president. Unbelievable PR for that guy. Turned out to be a fraud. Obamacare jacked up prices for tons of different medical initiatives in the United States, obviously including insurance. Any honest American will tell you that. And they look at government and they say, whatever we have is not working. I want to try this. This will work. And this Zoran guy, he speaks to people in that regard. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Adams does with this. I think Adams is a lot more charismatic. I think he's a lot more real. And, we talked about this before. He was a cop. He's got the chops to say the right thing and the thing that needs to be said. The question is, does he have enough support that he feels like he can say it? That's the big question. I think he's going to get there because this Zoran guy is just so divisive that he will find himself with many, many unlikely bedfellows, including big industry, right? Like, these guys I'm sure they didn't want Adams to win. But now if you look at guys like Mike Bloomberg and, other people, they're going to say, look, I don't care who runs against this guy. We're putting money in his pocket. Bill Ackman, same thing. I don't care who runs against this guy. We're putting money in his pocket because we think this guy is a danger to the city. And they're right. They are 100% right. Communists are a danger everywhere they exist and at all times and should be derided, laughed at, and embarrassed out of the room.
Imagine living there.
A nightmare. A nightmare. Yeah.
But even just like you say, like what's happened since 2000?
Someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, tweeted me about how people gravitate toward big cities and want to live in big cities, and that the market data points to that. I don't know what market data to look at, but my thought is that time has passed now, and people are
not
going
entirely.
Okay, so tell me why. Who wants to live in a place like New York if they're
maybe not
my
New York,
age or younger?
There are big cities in the world that people want to live in.
Oh, sure, some. I'm not saying no big cities, but like the New Yorks and Chicago's. I mean, Len, they're on the show every week.
There's no big city in the United States that you want to live in. There's no
Los Angeles, they're done. They're done.
Denver, Seattle, the list goes on and on.
Toast,
fuck.
Portland,
Austin is kind of losing it. Like, I don't know. Well, good for Zoran by claiming that because he's maybe black, because if he was in Cambridge, he would potentially get access to free swimming lessons. We're not sure if you saw this one.
I did.
Not for everybody. So the Swim to Survive, and quoting this from their website, I'm not putting my own commentary, aspires to empower BIPOC, that's Black, Indigenous, and people of color, individuals and families in the Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge by fostering essential life skills. This is swimming lessons. So they're offering swimming lessons classes, 268 participants across the Waterloo region, sold out or signed up, and it's full for the calendar year 2025. Good on Cambridge. I like the fact that they're offering swimming lessons for free because this is a good life skill to have. And I didn't realize that water differentiated between other people, but I guess it does.
I hate that story so much. Why are we doing this? Are we not on one hand asking for integration and assimilation, while on the other hand offering just so many programs and initiatives for only one group of people and not the other? Why are we doing that? Like, help me make it make sense. Make it make sense. Like, because I don't get it.
There is no way to make this make sense, Joey.
I don't get it. So whatever. I don't know.
Let's do maybe last story. Let's see. Seneca College. This is a beauty. And straight from the website, Seneca and Continental Institute for International Studies, that's the CIIS, located in Chandigarh, Punjab, India. They're offering an exciting, cost-effective opportunity for students in India to earn a globally recognized education and advanced diploma in computer studies in just 3 years.
We will never learn. We will never learn. We will never learn.
1 year in India. They do that 1 year in India at CIIS, and they transfer to study in Canada to be at Seneca for 2 years. And then, they're able then to finish up their degree over here or their diploma, whatever fuck it is. And I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, you like it? Yeah. Okay, great.
Tapping into what we need. More fucking students to come over here.
Bring some more over. I got one more story I want to do before we.
Go ahead.
So you may know, listeners to this show will know for sure, because I tweet about it all the time, and then I end up deleting some of the tweets because I think they're too harsh. But there's a problem in Germany and other places too, to be honest with you, that have brought in hordes of third worlders over the last 5 years with sexual assaults and groping and inappropriate touching and things of this nature. You may remember years ago, and in the years since, honestly, there's stories every year about sexual emergencies that migrants have where they find themselves masturbating or touching women or groping girls, or worse in the UK case. Obviously, I won't mention that, but you can look that up yourself if you're not familiar with it. Germany is entering into like apex mountain retard territory here. They're putting out PSAs about making sure that everyone understands that groping is not okay. All right. And the most recent poster they've put out, Len, is something that you could just, no matter what you're imagining, you could never imagine something this stupid. Okay. The poster they're using is a German, what is presumably a German woman, groping a giant German woman, groping a very diminutive brown man with a peg leg in a pool, while a turtle talks about how groping is not okay underneath them. Have you ever in your life seen something this stupid? In your entire life, this tiny little brown man with a peg leg being assaulted by a German woman. Does anyone really think that this is what's going on in Germany? That this is the thing that needs a PSA?
I've never been there, so I can't say with my own eyes that... we don't
have to comment on it, but this is just like batshit crazy. It's batshit crazy. And I don't know. You make of that what you will, listener, viewer, but things are going to get hot everywhere in the world in the next year or so, I think, and you're going to be glad you had Bitcoin. That's for sure. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
Joey, did you see that story that Canada allowed in like 25,000?
Yeah, with criminal records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are upset with that, and I can understand why. But you know what? This has been going on forever. Because there are people that come in that if they're going to do a concert, say they have a criminal record and they want to come in, and Canada deems, it's going to be good for the economy, they'll let them in.
Yeah.
Sports. So many people in sports wouldn't, if just a regular person like me or you, Joey, wouldn't be able to cross the border because they belong to a team and they're different, right? So this has been going on forever. So a lot of people are pissed off at this, and I'm not trying to justify it, but this has just been going on forever. Like, if you want to see the best people in whatever sport you want to watch, if it's football, hockey, baseball, whatever the fuck it is, this is going to happen. Unfortunately, this is going to, because there are people out there that shouldn't be able to cross the border. And
we said this all the time on this show. You and me have been honest, I think, and fair in saying that there's a lot of losers all over the world. There are many different skin color losers, religion losers, sexual proclivity losers, and they all just seem to wind up migrating out, and then they blame them being a loser on, in Germany's case, the mayor of that city blamed the sexual assaults on hot weather, Hot weather is a problem.
Yeah, that
temperatures
does it.
temperatures flare.
People go
Yeah,
fucking
I find
nuts.
myself assaulting women, and when the weather's hot, for sure. Yeah, definitely increasing
Like,
that.
This was in the very early 90s. Bob Probert was convicted on cocaine charges. It must have held it, whatever the fuck it was. And
Wow.
he was unable to come to Canada. And that one they held up. They said, you can't come in. So he was not able, every game that I think it was the Blackhawks when he was with that team, that they had to play in this Canada, or maybe it was with the Red Wings, who the fuck cares? He couldn't go. So he had to stay back. So like there are instances where they say no, but for the most part, if there's something, a small crime that they'll just wave in and say, fuck you, you're allowed to come in. If it's something big like what Probert did with cocaine, they'll, at least 30 years ago, they said no. But I'm just trying to say, like, it's not the people that are in charge now that are doing this.
It's always been the case.
It's always like this.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter who's like. You can't just blame these guys. It's just the it's reality. Not justifying it. Just you know what? The blame is not just on one particular set of folks. Broaden that circle of who you want to blame.
Just telling you how it is. God bless everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. We'll see you Friday, 1 p.m. for Stockwell Day. And until then, take care of yourselves.
Don't be a cock.